Barbados expecting big returns in the medical sector as Ross University officially opens. Further assurances by the Ministry of Health that none of the drugs under recall in the U.S. is approved for sale in Barbados. And in sports, the Jaguars pile up a massive first inning score on the Pride at Kensington Oval.
Credible, balanced, committed. This is the CBC Evening News.
Very good evening to you. I'm Lisa Broom with the CBC Evening News. In our top story tonight, Barbados' partnership with Ross University and its parent entity, Adtalem Global Education, is expected to bring significant benefits in the coming years. This was the sentiment expressed by Prime Minister Mia Amor-Motley, as well as other officials at the university's opening ceremony. And we'll bring you the details to that story a little bit later on in the news. Well, we're also hearing tonight that there will be no layoffs at the Barbados Agricultural Management Company Limited come Monday. In a release this evening, BAMC manager Leslie Paris says the company is still in consultation with the Barbados Workers Union, and as such, it will not be undertaking further retrenchment talks until the talks are satisfactorily concluded. He says the BAMC granted an additional vacation day to certain employees on Friday. Now, according to Mr. Paris, the decision was, however, not in any way linked to additional employees being retrenched on Monday next week. Mr. Paris says the workers are expected to report for work on Monday. He says the BAMC has at all times treated its workers with dignity and respect and will continue to do so in the future. Mr. Paris adds that every effort will be made to complete the current retrenchment program without compromise to the upcoming crop or to the dignity of the workers. The Ministry of Health and Wellness is assuring the public that none of the drugs identified in the December 31st recall of the hypertensive drug valsartan by the United States Food and Drug Administration is approved by the Barbados Drug Service for sale here in Barbados. The FDA recall is related to the discovery of an impurity believed to increase cancer risk. Now, the branded products recalled are from a specific company and have been identified as valsartan, amplodine valsartan, and valsartan hydrochlorothiazide tablets. The ministry has made it clear that all brands approved for dispensing in Barbados are FDA approved, and they also have to meet local standards. In the meantime, the Barbados Drug Service has recalled another brand of the valsartan drug, Citron branded valsartan, along with Natrelix, because of the failure of both tablets to dissolve. This decision was made after testing was carried out by the Caribbean Public Health Agency, or CARPHA, and is not related to the FDA recall. The acting chief medical officer, Dr. Kenneth George, has advised patients who need further information to consult their medical practitioners. Two young men were injured in two separate shooting incidents last night. The first occurred at 7:25 at Niles Road, Waterfall Land, St. Michael. 25-year-old Chad Gittins of Jubilee Gap Eagle Hall was shot in his upper thigh. He was transported to hospital by a private vehicle. Now, the second shooting happened just after 8 at Wanstead Gardens. On arrival, officers learned that a young man had been shot in his right thigh and he was taken to hospital by ambulance. The Ministry of Agriculture will be moving to beef up security at the Six Roads Market. Minister of Agriculture Indar Weir believes the market is a hub for economic activity given its location. But during a tour there, several issues, including the need for greater safety measures, were raised.
We have some niggling issues like the pavement and putting in lines for car parking, etc. A spruce up, giving it a facelift. And what I saw there basically is years of neglect. And we're hoping that we can address those issues. But in terms of business and activity and fit for purpose, etc., Six Roads is more ready and can be worked upon.
A family man who believed in service. That's how the family of retired Major Courtney McConney described the nonagenarian during a service to celebrate his life at the St. Matthias Church this morning. From private school teacher to civil servant, then on to several prestigious positions in the military before retiring. That's how Major Courtney McConney spent the better part of his life, and he provided outstanding service at every level. This was the story of the life of the outstanding man as told by one of his daughters, Dr. Glenda McConney Gay. But she also told the St. Matthias Church, which was packed with many of those whose lives he touched, the Major, as he was known, cherished his role as a husband, a father, and a grandfather.
Granddad was a gatekeeper of knowledge, a beacon of strength, an honorable man, a great grandfather, an awesome example of unwavering love. He raised us to mount the chiming grandfather clocks, hordes of books, and the telling of never-ending stories of his adventures. Following him around in bushland, wearing garden boots too big for our small feet, was an honor.
Dr. McConney Gay says her father believed in helping people and often donated to and got involved in the work of many charitable organizations.
Dad loved social activities, hence his involvement in many organizations, including the Lodge Fraternity, the Salvation Army, Barbados Legion, St. John Ambulance Brigade, the Royal Commonwealth Society, the National Union of Public Workers, the Men's Educational Support Association, well known as MESA, and, as we recently found out, the September Club.
The Major was interred at the military cemetery. Well, on a happier note, we are hearing that we have our first centenarian for the year. She is Leroy Pitt, known to many as Kitty Pitt. Governor General Dame Sandra Mason paid Miss Pitt a visit at her Browns Gap Sargent Village home earlier today. Miss Pitt was employed as an agricultural worker at the Bell and Codrington plantations in her younger days. She had 6 children, 3 of whom predeceased her, 17 grandchildren, 38 great-grands, and 11 great-great-grands. She was also married for 52 years. The centenarian says these days she's still very active.
No, don't sit down and drop and, I'll just turn around and Bobby could do you,
What sort of foods do you like to eat?
I like cooking. I like anything I thought it would do for me. I don't pick and choose. Whatever you give me, I'll satisfy.
And I understand that you're pretty good with your hands. You make
the hands is like mad. I still pick a little dollar. Don't sit down. I like my money.
Well, Ms. Pitt had some words of advice for the country's youth.
Behave yourself. Go and look for employment. This thing that is walk about every now and then here's every more you hear somebody dead. And be there then die. Let go and look for work. And if you don't work, I can't get you. But I got enough that I eventually work, and I get high, nobody can put me out. I got me. He's looking for the work. They want somebody to work for them.
Happy birthday to you, Ms. Pitt. Well, a number of Haitians who've come to Barbados in search of work believe they're getting the runaround. CBC recently spoke with some of them as they gathered to celebrate their country's Independence Day. Advisor Blaise Aimab is unsure how many Haitians have traveled to Barbados in the past few months since it was announced that Barbados would waive the visa requirements for entry. He's charging, though, that businesses are unwilling to hire them without a work permit. But he says the Immigration Department has indicated it would only issue the permit if the application is accompanied by a job letter.
It's really difficult everywhere we get the required work permit, and when you go to the immigration for that work permit, they told you have to get an institution working for. Once you get it, you're gonna give you like a letter to require that. when you get to any institution, they require you work permit. It is both things, I think, different that they told you at the immigration and that the institution told you.
Last week it was reported that a group of Haitians had been evicted from a home but had since been taken in by the Salvation Army. They would have been granted an automatic stay of 6 months upon arrival here. Well, Lubert Veep says he's trying to find new living arrangements for those who've opted to remain in Barbados.
The complaint is not a good place. It's very bad, the smell, everything, because the place is not good. You know, it's not for the person like that. That's why I'm talking to them. Some of them like to get home. Some of them try to get a new home because the step is valid for 6 months, you know. But now we keep contact to see what we can do. That's the reason why we organize things to to talk about all of Haitian, to know what we can do for our nation.
Well, we told you at the top of the news that Barbados's partnership with Ross University and its parent entity was solidified earlier today. That happened at an opening ceremony for the university. Our Lorna Jones now tells us more.
The relocation of Ross University has already provided jobs for over 1,000 Barbadians in various construction projects and is expected to have a positive economic impact of 55 to 60 million US dollars annually. In addition, 40 Barbadians are currently employed with the university, and that number is expected to climb to 150. According to Prime Minister Mia Moore-Motley, the benefits for Barbados will not stop there. Speaking during the university's official opening ceremony, she says the partnership with Ross also provides a pathway for collaboration with other institutions.
And in our manifesto, we committed to the establishment of a school of nursing. Little did the Minister of Health know and the Minister of Education know that we would have the opportunity to make good on that promise within months by looking to see how we could partner between the Barbados Community College and Chamberlain School of Medicine. That Chamberlain's logo is at the center of this campus, is an indication that it is our intention to work together with you to be able to make real numbers that are equivalent to what we are seeing at Ross University today with respect to nursing.
The Prime Minister says this will provide Barbadians with more options for a career in the medical field.
The ability of the Caribbean to continue to produce large numbers of nurses is constrained only by our capacity to educate them. And we stand here today ready to work on that partnership with you to significantly expand the number of nurses that we can produce, not to send out to the rest of the world as emigrants, but to send to the rest of the world for the sale of services for 6 months, 9 months, 10 months, never forgetting where you have come from and where you must return to.
President and CEO of Adtalem Global Education, Lisa Wardell, says Ross University is happy with its new home. She says they are committed to building their presence here, not only in the medical field, but in the financial sector as well.
But we also have a financial services group and membership organization. We've established the first Caribbean chapter of that association, which is the Association of Certified Anti-Money Laundering Specialists, known as ACAMS, and that is here in Barbados.
Following the ceremony, officials were taken on a tour of the new campus. Lorna Jones, CBC News.
Thanks, Lorna. And a correction to a previous story that we carried, the Barbados Drug Service has recalled a brand of the valsartan drug, Citron branded valsartan, along with indopadmine and not Natrelix, as previously stated. Now, this recall is because of failure of both tablets to dissolve. That decision was made after testing was carried out by the Caribbean Public Health Agency, or CARPHA, and it is not related to the FDA recall. The acting chief medical officer, Dr. Kenneth George, has advised patients who need further information to consult their medical practitioners.